Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niuniu with Steve Hatherley in the studio. Hello, Steve.
Hey there. Thanks for having me back.
As always, great pleasure having you in the studio. We never discussed how to say studio.
Oh, yeah. How do you say studio?
Well, studio, in our case, because we're doing a radio/podcast show, we are in a studio designated for recording voices, instead of shooting for both voices and the visual. But we do that occasionally with Takeaway Chinese as well when we have something special happening. And I think recently we would have something special happening. Quite exciting.
Yes.
Quite excited for that.
Now, are you going to reveal it already?
I'm not. You have to really listen to the show and pay attention and figure out when is the special episode. We'll do it a bit later.
You'll drop little Easter eggs,
Just a little. But the idea is that we do it in 播音间.
播音间.
Yes, 播 carries the meaning of broadcast. 音 is 声音, that's the sound or the voice. And 间 is a room that has a certain function. You can use something 间 to describe that room. And I recently realized that there are many Chinese characters related to the concept of rooms, houses, apartments, and yet they all are a little bit different from each other, which is in the gene when they are created in the very first place. I mean, when the character is created from the very first place.
Yes.
And that leads to the fact that certain rooms, different houses, different places here in China have different names related to those characters or different words related to those characters.
Do all the rooms of the house have jian at the end?
Depending on the kind of rooms. So 播音间 is a recording room or a recording studio. You can also call it 录音间 because 录 carries the meaning of record something. That's 间. But, for example, if we're talking about an operating room, it'll be 手术室.
手术室.
手术 is a surgery, and 室 is another way of saying a room.
But that's only in a hospital.
That's in a hospital.
Because I don't have an operating room in my house.
No. In your house, you would have a...
Your mom might. She's a doctor.
Yeah, she is a doctor, but she's a physician.
Right.
And also, no doctors would have an operating room in their homes.
Unless they really love their job. Come here.
You should not be operating at home. You can only operate in a hospital.
I'm in the mood for a surgery.
Well, that's creepy. That's not doctors. That's serial killers.
Right. So, 手术室, is that only for like official buildings that have 室 meaning room?
No.
Or okay.
Because we talked about 间 and 室 already. So 间 carries the meaning of separating things.
Okay.
Or it does not carry the meaning. It's more like it suggests that you are separating your homes into different function areas.
Okay, I understand.
Yes, and that is a 间. And the reason that 间 and 室 are a little bit different is that when it comes to, for example, 储物间.
储物间.
储物 means to stock something or to put something in. So a 储物间 would be a room that you keep your stuff.
Stock room?
Yes.
Or a closet?
A closet as well, yes, a little bit. Or if we're talking about the arrangement of an apartment, some apartment has one bedroom, some apartment has two bedrooms, but some apartment is like with one bedroom and also a entry area as well as living room area, but it's not of an...
They're not separated.
They're not entirely separated.
Yeah.
And they'll call it 开间. 开 carries the meaning of open. 开间.
开间.
It means that your living room and your bedroom are basically together. They're not separated enough.
Like a studio.
Yes. And 间, and also if we're talking about staying in a hotel, then a 套间 would mean that Tao is like one thing outside of another thing or package or a set of something. So if you're in a hotel, then usually when we're staying in a hotel room, the hotel room itself would be the bedroom. You don't really have a living room separated.
True.
But if you do, that's a 套间. It means that they are separating the area into a bedroom and also a living room, and it's already a set. It's not a solo room.
Yes.
So 间 is suggesting, or if you see the character 间, you know that it's separated because of certain arrangement or certain function like 播音间 or 录音间. And 是 is also interesting because if you see the Chinese character 是, take a look at it, you would see that the part of the character is kind of like a roof top.
Okay.
And the lower part of it is another Chinese character meaning stop. So when you enter the room and you stop your activities, you rest in the room.
Bedroom.
That is why bedroom in Chinese is 卧室.
卧室.
Yes.
So what about living room? I'm curious. So that was my question before, right? So 间, it doesn't apply to every room in your house.
No.
It's funny in English. This makes no sense to me, and this has been bothering me for years. Living room, bath room, bed room, dining room, kitchen. Who made that?
I have never thought of it that way.
So annoying, right? What makes that so special?
You can call it cooking room, right?
That sounds weird. And so does kitchen room.
Kitchen room.
It's like if you
is
say
weird.
chicken meat.
don't-
It sounds weird together in English.
yeah.
Right? It sounds totally redundant.
Well, the thing with Chinese is that we have only mentioned two characters having something to do with rooms and houses and everything, but there are actually more. For example, you also have 房. 房子 is a house, but 房 also carries the meaning of room in certain occasions. I'll name some a little bit later. And there's also 厅. For example, you mentioned living room. Living room would be 客厅.
客厅.
Yes. And 厅 is another character related to rooms or houses or a room in a house, something related to that. And there's also 屋. 屋 is a little easier because 屋, 房屋 putting together is the umbrella room for all the houses and apartments and buildings. 房屋is like
You have a room
architectures.
just for your umbrellas?
No, you know what I
You're
mean. The
rich.
general room.
Put it in the umbrella room with the other umbrellas.
It's an umbrella word, not an umbrella room.
I know.
Yes.
I'm being difficult.
Well, the idea is that I didn't used to know the differences or the original purpose of creating these characters, which makes me a little bit baffling when it comes to living room being 客厅, whereas bedroom being 卧室, and washing room or restroom being 洗手间.
洗手间.
洗手间. Literally,
洗手间.
洗 means to wash. 手 is your hand. And 间, we talked about it. It's a room. But so is living room is a room. Bedroom is a room. Restroom is a room. But
Yeah.
they also have different characters in the words because these characters carry different connotation or original meaning that even sometimes Chinese people have forgotten about.
洗手间.
洗手间.
洗手间在哪里?
Right? 洗手间在哪里? Okay, so we have already talked about 是 being a room, originally meaning when people stop moving, stop their actions at. So 卧室 bedroom, which is why this is a little interesting. Traditionally, or in ancient days, Chinese people used to have one like wife, and several concubines or, women in the house. And I think the original meaning is that the husband should stay with the wife more, which is why the wife is also called a 正室. 正 is like straight or official or the main one. So it's like he, being the husband, should be staying in the bedroom of his wife the more often and in serious occasions, in important days. So the serious bedroom belongs to the wife.
Okay,
so
okay.
正室, you know
Okay,
what
yeah.
I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
So 是 is there. And we also talked about 间 being a room with a certain function. So 洗手间, that's the restroom or wash hand room. 洗手间.
洗手间.
Yes, and that's 洗手间. And
sorry to interrupt. So in English, would the English translation be master bedroom, I think? Because in a house... No, but in a house, usually it's the biggest bedroom.
Yes, but the thing is because 正式 is already used in as a way to address the wife.
It's more about the wife than it is about the room.
It's no longer about the room. But again, it's in really ancient days, and now it's not a thing.
Sure.
But you still see it in different types of historical drama related to that period in history.
Understood.
Yes. And there's 房.
Fang.
Yes, Fang is also a character that is related to houses. So to start with, 房子.
房子.
房子 would be a house or a building. We talked about 房屋 being the general term for buildings, all kinds of buildings.
So does this mean like house, or it can mean anything, like an apartment or... Anything.
Umbrella term.
Mm-hmm.
房. So 房屋 is the official and also written term for all of the houses.
Got it.
And 房屋 together, it kind of points at the direction of shelter. Related meaning is like because all of the houses, all the architectures are for the purpose of sheltering people.
Understood.
So that's 房屋. But the original meaning of the Chinese character 房 is the rooms or the little houses adjacent to the 市.
The little houses adjacent to the rooms?
That because we talked about the rooms being the official rooms, so we already said 正式 originally it's like the main or master bedroom, but now it refers to the wife. But besides that main bedroom, there would be little rooms or houses adjacent to that main bedroom.
In historic times.
Because in historic times, there would be several floors, but the first floor is usually the most convenient and everything. So instead of having a modern day building with so many different apartments and rooms in the building, what people used to do would be building rooms, but the rooms are also kind of like separate little houses adjacent to the main house. And 房 used to refer to the two little rooms next to or adjacent to the main room.
So these would be separate, completely separate spaces, not attached at all.
Sometimes attached, sometimes don't.
Depending on the design of the space.
Yes.
I see.
Yes, because
it's quite complicated, isn't it?
Yes, the original meaning of these things are much more complicated than we thought. And 房, the reason I'm explaining this as well is because you would see 耳房 if you're traveling into a traditional Chinese courtyard or Beijing-style courtyard. You see the 正屋 or the main house or the main living room, main room area, but you also see the 房. The 房 are usually around the main house area, and because if we're talking about the courtyard rooms here in Beijing, the 市 would be facing the direction of south so that the lighting and everything would be better, and it's also considered prosperous. But you also need rooms that are facing east or facing west, so you form a little courtyard with your entire designing of the horses,
which makes the complete circle.
Yes, and those rooms are usually 房.
I see. I wonder, these types of characters and definitions were necessary because the buildings were all accessible from the outside, right? Like one 房 could be entered from the outside and the other 房 can be entered from the outside.
Yes.
So how are we supposed to know which 房 is which 房? So they need specific names for each of them.
We kind of do because, again, in ancient days, Chinese people, to start with, are very good with honoring traditions, and they would designate different areas and different directions for different role in the family. For example, if we have a ancient time courtyard, if we're talking about in ancient days, the parents or those who are bringing food onto the table, the real adult in the family would be living in the main rooms, whereas the daughter of the family might be living in the rooms facing the west side.
Right.
And the boys are living in the rooms facing the east side. So each house or each area would have its own function.
Yes, I understand. Yeah. That's something that I couldn't have understood, I think, maybe 25 years ago when I moved to Asia. But yeah, now I through experience, and I've heard that type of conversation many times, like the direction that you face, the direction that a room faces, sometimes is really...
They mean things.
It's really important, and people will not want to buy an apartment because of the direction of the facing of the windows sometimes.
Yes, that's the modern day thing.
Yeah,
yes.
and even like the direction that you put the head of your bed in the room, like it should be facing north or never facing north or something. I forget exactly what it is, but all of these things are very important, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And besides the living room arrangements, if we're talking about a ancient day or traditional type of courtyard, little house, little area in Beijing, we're also talking about a situation that because it's a house, it's someone's home, they do not want to reveal the entirety of their home to strangers or to guests. So usually when you enter the courtyard, when you enter the gate, you don't directly see the main bedroom. You would firstly see the 堂屋.
堂屋.
Tang carries the meaning of a hall, and ting is another character carries the meaning of hall. That is why ting tang putting together would be, hall. We talked about Chinese people like two-character words, and you put the two characters having similar meanings together to form that word.
So ting tang is hallway.
Hall, not hallway, just hall.
Just a hall.
Hall. Because if we're talking about a 会议厅,
会议厅.
会议厅 is a meeting hall. So if it's modern day and it's a huge meeting hall that you can have even more than 100 people sitting there and gathering for a forum or something, that is a 会议厅.
会议厅.
And there can also be 宴会厅.
宴会厅.
宴会 is a banquet. So in huge restaurants, in hotels, they would have this banquet hall. So certain activities can be arranged in that hall.
I see.
And 堂 is used with similar functions. For example, 大堂.
大堂.
大堂 in a hotel is the reception room.
Okay.
But it's the huge reception area because usually if it's a high-end hotel, it's a really large area welcoming everybody, arranging you to different rooms. The huge reception. So that's 堂, that's 大堂 or 礼堂.
Oh, both are okay?
No, just 大堂.
大堂.
Yes. And 礼堂 is a ceremonial kind of hall. People can even have a wedding ceremony in a 礼堂.
Okay.
Because 礼 carries the meaning of ritual.
Yeah.
So now when you see these different characters in these different words, there are meaning behind it.
So it seems like tang, sorry to interrupt again, tang has the meaning of a large space for a specific function.
Both ting and tang carry that meaning.
Okay.
And if we're taking the scenario back to a traditional Chinese courtyard, tang is a bit close to the front gate, whereas ting is a bit closer to the main bedroom, which is supposed to be the most private, the most important area in the entire courtyard. And that is also why if you are in a tang, you're discussing issue that perhaps is related to the neighborhood, the community. But if you're in a ting, you are already a guest of the entire household.
Understood.
Yes, it's like walking a little closer and closer and closer to the core of that courtyard, of that home.
The
of
most
that
important
house.
space. Yeah,
yes,
right.
Yes. And I think that's also why in Chinese we have a idiom, 登堂入室.
登堂入室.
So 登 means step into or step onto, and 入 is also entering, and you have to first enter a town and then enter the 市. So if you picture that, 登堂入室 is like you're entering the front gate. You step into the 堂 room. 堂屋, by the way, is a 堂 room. And then you pass the 厅 area and you go to the 市 room. You go straight to the court. So it means pass through the hall into the inner chamber. It carries the meaning of become more proficient in one's profession, being on the right track, even like reach a higher level in the study, because by entering the main bedroom, you are reaching the core of the entire courtyard. It's a metaphor, by the way.
Yeah.
Those are the characters that are related to rooms or houses. I know it's a little here and there for those listeners whose Chinese level is not to the point that they already have seen all these different rooms, all these different halls, different places in a room or in another building, some kind of buildings. But the idea is that when I am asked the question, why are you using this character and not that one? I can't always answer those questions. Sometimes I just know it's how a word is formed.
Yeah.
But by doing Takeaway Chinese long enough, I started to realize that there are meanings behind things. It's just sometimes those meanings have already been lost in history, in time, and sometimes we didn't do enough research to understand the deep, deep meaning behind each and every character. But once you do, you understand the word, the culture a bit more, and you find it fascinating.
Yeah. And if I can give a tip maybe to our audience who, of course, are Chinese language learners. And I give this tip as someone who used to be a teacher for a long time, not of Chinese, and as a student of second and third and fourth languages. A student's favorite question is oftentimes why.
Why?
But here's my tip. Sometimes just don't ask. Just learn it and move on to the next thing, because sometimes it's worth knowing, but sometimes it can be even more confusing sometimes. And sometimes it just doesn't even matter at all.
And at a certain stage in your studying, you would suddenly understand the why that you asked several years ago.
Yes.
And that is a beautiful moment. And maybe only at that moment you can truly understand the reason of that why.
Yeah.
If I explain this to you a bit too early, it's still not that fun.
I remember, I think I've told you before that my wife speaks Chinese pretty okay, actually. And in the beginning, I was leaning on her. But in the very beginning, and I told this to you as well, that I had never had any experience with Chinese language whatsoever. So what that means is every little thing that you say to me, I don't know what it means at all, right? So I would ask her, how do I say go to the bathroom or like, where's the washroom? And she said to me, and I didn't even realize this until now, 洗手间在哪儿?
Yes.
Right? But my wife speaks very quickly. So I said, how do I say, where's the bathroom? And she said, 洗手间在哪儿? And I was like, what? So what? Because my ears couldn't even separate those things.
Sounds.
Right? Now we're discussing it again. And now I know she is about washing your hands. And
手 is your hand.
She is about washing and 手 is your hands. And Jen is about the room. So now that, we're able to separate those into pieces, suddenly my brain can hear those words distinctly because I can attach them to something. And that, as to your point, just takes time.
It takes time.
Yeah.
So for the sophisticated out there who has been wondering how come 厨房 is the kitchen, 洗手间 is the bathroom, 卧室 is the bedroom, and 客厅 is the living room. They are all rooms in my house, and yet they use different characters. Each and every one of them has a different character.
And don't forget the umbrella room.
Oh, come on. There's no umbrella room. But you can have a 储物间, stock room anyways. So what I'm saying here is that nowadays here in China, when you're learning Chinese, yes, if you're only learning those words, you can just remember them for what they are. And if you have been learning them for quite a long time, now you know the logic between the forming of the word.
They'll start to make a little more sense. And actually, with the stories behind it, it can help you remember the words even more.
Even better. And here in a standard Chinese apartment, you would have all these different rooms, different functions. Oh, and speaking of functions, in most buildings, you would also have 电梯间.
电梯间.
电梯 is the lift, and 电梯间 is the separate area. See, 间 carrying the idea of separate, a separate area for the lift in the building. And even for some old apartment buildings that didn't used to have 电梯间, we are looking at the kind of construction and the kind of renovation projects everywhere in the country these days, so that especially for those elder people living in those apartment buildings, they would be able to have a lift, have a escalator installed into the old buildings to make it more livable. And we are looking at the country giving better or more standards, more requirements for a good house, or in a plain term, 好房子, literally a good house, good buildings.
Taking into account what makes people happy and what they need to be happy in their own space.
Yes, and we're talking about the houses that are safe, 安全, green, 绿色, which means it's environmentally friendly and also 宜居, nice to live in. And you would also talking about a good 小区, a good community, and these standards are gradually, step by step, met in each and every residential area. And we see the projects, and we see the new elevators, we see the new material attached onto the outside wall of the buildings. So the insulation of the house, of the apartment building can be better, more environmentally friendly, and also more comfortable. And all these are also happening in all these different rooms here in China.
Yeah, that's right. It's a new standard now, isn't it? And that's a good thing for society as a whole.
Yes. So if you have any other questions, any comments about houses, rooms, different rooms with different functions in different places, anything related to this, please let us know in the comment area or send us an email directly. And thank you so much for being with us. 感谢收听，我们下次再见。
Thanks very much. See you next time.